Today we're going to be looking at how to disrupt the market. This is Mind Over Matter, looking at big ideas for business. So what is market disruption? Market disruption is when you're actually going into an existing market with existing players, and as a new entrant, you're actually shaking up how things are done. So you're changing the rules in order to be able to take up large market share, which currently belong to existing players. So the secret to disrupting the market is to be able to change the customer's expectation and how they consume the product. An example of this would be HMV, who is slow to actually pick up and recognize the threat of online music. So even though they actually operated and were very successful operating physical location retail outlets to sell music, they were not able to pick up on the trend and recognize the threat of online music becoming big. So Apple was able to recognize that customers, if they could actually consume music rather than pick up a physical CD, they'd be happy to download it. It saves them time, saves them money, and they can actually have it at convenience, which they can transfer from device to device. So this was the ultimate reason that HMV met its demise, and where it lost a huge market share to the likes of Apple, Spotify, and others that obviously came through the proliferation in the online music business. So remember, as a new entrant, you're not directly competing with the existing incumbents in the market. What you're doing is you're actually changing the way you're going to be doing things in that market, so that as this becomes the norm, what old businesses and existing businesses were doing and was acceptable before suddenly becomes not so acceptable. So it loosens up their grip on that market share. Traditionally, existing incumbents in a market would hold chunks of the market share, which they've obviously held and established over time. So as a new entrant, you would go into the market, you would then pick up the crumbs, pick up small pieces, and then over time, build your business so you can actually carve yourself out a share in that marketplace. So what market disruption does is actually challenge that directly, where you're saying, rather than actually give it that time frame and then try to slowly, where you're competing with existing players and try to hold and create a market share, you are actually going in and saying, I'm going to actually flip the convention of how business is done in the industry. And then once obviously the market share has become open to all, because obviously the expectations have changed, then everyone is capable in that market to then be able to chase the customer and actually carve themselves out a market share at the get-go, rather than wait over time and actually build it organically. They can disrupt it, put everything up in the air, and then literally grab pieces of the market. As a new entrant, you have one big advantage over existing incumbents in the market. Normally, the incumbents in the market are established players. So as they are large in size, they normally follow a model which is low risk. And normally the type of change that they will implement within the organization will be incremental. So it'll be in small step changes, meaning they will be slow to respond if one was to actually come into the market and change how things was done completely. So as a new entrant, what do? One, you go into the market, you change how things are done. So you change the expectation for the customer and how they consume that product. Then you've actually disrupted that market. So you've taken it away from the incumbent. So one, disrupt the market and take from the incumbent the market share. Two, now that you've actually got the market share, you've got to understand you're also a sitting duck if you do not actually then protect yourself, because as you've recognized a flaw in the market and then went in to actually disrupt it, to actually take that market share, other new entrants could come in and actually take it from you also. So what you've got to do is, once you've disrupted the market, you want to then be able to protect yourself. And the way you protect yourself is by saying, once you've created your competitive advantage, you've actually disrupted and created this market share, then you actually layer it with competitive advantages, which then protect you and actually insulate you from other new entrants coming into the market and making it harder for them to be able to then disrupt the market for you. and take your market share. There are normally 4 types of changes that you can actually use, 4 types of focuses to be able to disrupt the market. These are: 1, being customer focused. So you're going to disrupt the market by actually focusing on the customer. 2, you're actually going to be focusing on the product. You're going to do something with the product which actually then disrupts the market because it changes how other products are perceived. 3, you're actually going to be competing and making yourself very, very competitive, that other competitors will actually find it hard to actually match what it is that you're actually offering in the market. And number 4 is economic focus. So using Google as an example, when they first started out, this was a time when, this was back in the early to mid 90s, when Alta Vista and many other search engines were out there. And Google came in and they had a search engine with an algorithm which obviously looked at speed and relevance and efficiency in terms of getting a search to the customer. So they actually were product focused. Now, at the time, they took a lot of the market share away from the existing providers, but it was an easily replicable model because as they had their own search engine, there's others that could have actually copied that and actually taken Google's market share away. But Google was smart because once it established itself as a search provider, then it changed its focus from being product focused to being economic focused. So this is where they changed the game in how search engines functioned by being able to provide paid search. Now, this made it much more harder for other entrants to actually come in and actually take away the market share that Google had secured for itself. And then as Google grew, they then changed again their focus. So they changed firstly from product to economic, and then from economic they changed to competitive. And how did they do this? They used their size. So as they grew and they established and dominated that market, they used that sheer scale and size that they had as a competitive advantage. Because obviously what they were able to do was use all this data that they actually were able to obviously catalog. They then categorized and sorted that information out. So it was able to offer organizing the world's information and data into easy and quick and relevant way of being able to search that, being able to categorize it so that when someone wants to do a search under certain categories, they were able to get exactly what they wanted. And by doing that, they've made it very, very difficult for anybody who's actually coming in new to be able to compete with them on efficiency, speed, and relevance of their search. And just the sheer size in terms of the data that they can actually pull together for the individual who's searching information, making it very difficult for new entrants to come into the market and be able to copy this model. Examples of casualties through market disruption, there are plenty. Just to give you a couple of examples, there is HMV. HMV obviously sold via physical location as a normal traditional retailer. They never actually took the threat of online music seriously enough to be able to respond to it with the due urgency needed. So instead, the likes of Apple, Spotify, and others came in and actually took that market share away from HMV, to the point that HMV does not dominate that space anymore. Other examples I can give you are, for example, Blockbusters. Blockbusters was in the video rental space, and they, again, had a traditional physical location. And Netflix came along and actually was able to offer online videos. And they, at the time, did not think that this model was going to catch on. So they carried on with their model. But obviously Netflix was able to obviously pick up as people were actually moving more towards digital devices and using digital devices like laptops, computers, etc. It made it more convenient for people to be able to just download it. And as there was more appetite for downloading, Netflix gained from the market share which Blockbuster should have actually had. Hope you enjoyed this clip, and if so, please subscribe to my channel. Look forward to seeing you in one of our other video clips. Have a good one. Bye.